Cindy from Stamped with Aloha. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the alternative projects I designed using Stampin' Up's June 2021 paper pumpkin kit called Expressions in Color. So let's go ahead and get started. So the June paper pumpkin kit was designed to make 9 cards. So it came with all the pieces to make these 3 designs. Today we're going to be working with this card base and this punch out sheet, as well as one of the punched out tags that also comes in the kit. We're going to start working with this card base. I'm going to open it up, and what I want to do is I want to cut 2 inches off of the solid fresh freesia side. So I'm going to place it in my paper trimmer at 2 inches, and then I'm going to cut it off. So now I'm going to show you something that you can do with a lot of your paper pumpkin cards. When you have a colorful card base like this, and the inside is white, what you can do is if you remove a piece, we're going to turn this in like this, and then the piece that you cut off, a 2-inch piece, you can now lay it back on the front and make a decorative panel. So you could either leave it solid all the way like this, or you could trim it another 1/4 inch. So that's what I'm going to do for this particular card. So I'm going to place it back in my trimmer, and I'm going to line it up at 5 1/4 inches, and then I'm going to cut that off. Okay, and that's all the trimming that we're going to do for this card. All right, so then we're going to take the card base, we're going to fold it over. I'm going to use my bone folder to make it nice and flat. Okay, so this is going to be the front of the card. Then we have this piece of fresh freesia. What I've done is I've placed it in my Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder, ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I've added some nice texture to it. Okay, and then this is going to get mounted right here on the front of the card. Stamping, we're going to stamp on this little tag. I'll be using Blackberry Bliss ink. I'm going to ink up the stamp, You Are Amazing, and stamp it. Okay, so the stamping is done. Now we're ready to assemble the card. So I'm going to be also working with 3 pieces of cardstock that I cut that were not in the paper pumpkin kit. The measurements are super simple. We have a 3x3 basic white, a 2x2 basic white, and a 2.5x2.5 Blackberry Bliss. And then we're going to be working with these 2 punch out pieces here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them. Okay, so now we have all the pieces that we need, and we're going to begin to assemble our card. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the small white piece, and I'm going to mount this to the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So I'm going to put this together like this. So this is what is going to be the base for our focal point. And so we can decide wherever we want to put this on the card. So I'm going to put it right here. Now I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to add dimensionals to the back. So now I have the dimensionals on the back. I'm going to flip it around, and then I want to center this on the card. All right, so this is our focal point. So now we need a piece of cardstock that we can write a message on. And so this is going to actually slide in here, and it's going to be the backing of our card, just like that. So I'll be using liquid glue, and you can see that this is centered right in the middle of this panel. So you can also do it the opposite way too. You can glue this in the center and then flip this around and center this square, or you can do it the way I showed you. I tend to do things backwards, so whatever feels the most comfortable to you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the adhesive to the back here, and then I'm gonna center this. The nice thing about liquid glue is you have a little bit of time to reposition it, but that looks pretty good. Okay, the next step is we're going to be adding these embellishments. So I'm going to start with this piece here. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back. You could work with glue dots as well if you'd like. And then I'm going to put this on the card. And you just want to make sure that it's positioned on there where it's not going to be sticking off the edge of the card. Okay, so next I'm going to add this one. This one though is a little bit more spread out than I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors, and I'm just going to trim one of those clusters off. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back. And then I'm going to add this right here. And then for this final piece here, I'll add a little adhesive on this strip. And then I'm going to place this one right here. So now we've had this beautiful embellishment on there. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to just reinforce it a little tiny bit more with some dimensionals. So just put a couple of dimensionals right here. So they will serve the purpose of kind of tacking that down, but also they will be holding the tag down that we're going to place. So I have a dimensional behind the tag, and then I'm going to just place it over there like so and glue it down. Okay, the last thing that you would do to this card is add the embellishments that come in the Paper Pumpkin kit, which were really fun. And you can see there are these iridescent sequins, and then you have this really fun card. So that was pretty fast, yeah? Now, I love this fold, and I want to show you another sample I did that looks completely different style, but it uses the exact same layout, and that would be this card here. So for this card here, what I did is I took a scrap piece of basic white cardstock, I inked up this beautiful floral image, and then I just stamped it. And then I took my scissors and I just cut out those 4 petals, and then I added them to the card with a glue dot, and then you can see it just gave some dimension to this card. I also adorned it with some of the iridescent sequins. Now let me show you the difference between these two. Remember when we cut that 2-inch panel? You can see how I did a 2-inch panel on both of these, but on this particular card I left it whole, and on this particular card I cropped it off 1/4 of an inch. So you can see what the difference of those 2 cards are. But basically same layout, but 2 really different looking cards. And then I'm going to come back to this card now to show you some more alternative projects. So with this particular stamp that I love, I took this same image and then I just inked up my stamp, and then I just stamped it in random directions all over a square piece of cardstock. Okay, so after I did that, I got this card here. So I really do love the combination of black and this bumblebee color. And then this is another one of the pieces that came in the kit, which was this nice vellum lettering. So this says thanks, and then the stamp for everything came in there as well. So this is just the plain bumblebee card base, and I added black and white cardstock. So now you might be wondering, where did you get these white embellishments? Well, where this punch out piece came from is actually from this green one. So I punched it out, but rather than use the green side, I turned it around and now I had a white one. I just glued it down like that, and I cut this off so that I could have it coming down in a different direction. All right, so this is card number 3. Now let me show you card number 4. So that would be this card here. So this is a smaller card, like a note card size. And then I just stamped a whole strip like I just showed you with the repeating the yellow and black stamps. And I also added another smaller stamp in there as well, just to make a really fun pattern. This would be great for a one sheet wonder that you can just chop up and put in the center of your card. I use the same embossing folder and then this punch out. And then, you know, that I showed you, you could do it in white as well. I did change the color of ink for this card, and you can see the pretty iridescent sequence. All right, so with flipping this around and using all the vellum in the kit, let me show you one more card that I did, and that would be this one here. This one used not only the vellum background, but I used several of these white vellum pieces to put on this card. Of course, the green would have looked nice too. I did embellish this one with rhinestones instead. The sequence would have looked wonderful as well. All right, another card that I did with vellum is this one here. This is another one of the large floral vellum pieces that came in the kit. And then this particular panel that's on the card, so it's actually this card size, but I just kind of made a card on a card by just cropping this piece off, and then I put it on a larger card, and then I added the sequence, and then I just separated the piece that was supposed to sit on the top of the card. I just cropped it down a little bit just to have a little more interesting line on there. All right, the last sample I want to show you is this one here, and this is for those of you who like to color. So this is just a little slim card. It opens sideways like this. I love to color, so and I was inspired by something I was wearing that day that was black that had these colorful flowers on it. So that's why I chose these colors, and then I added some of our new in color rhinestones to go on there. Well, that completes my alternative projects for the June 2021 Expressions in Color Paper Pumpkin Kit. Whether you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber or not, I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and that you like the ideas I shared. I look forward to sharing with you again soon, so be sure to stop by and check out my next video. Until then, aloha.